Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2007's Death Proof, which was directed by Quentin Tarantino. I'm your co host, Alec.
Eric, and with us again is a reoccurring guest, our Jeepers Creepers expert, Ryan Baldassario. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, dude, Jeepers Creepers expert. And I looked back, I was like, he did every single one of those with us.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that today, and I was like, "All right, this is my fourth time on, and it's the first time I'm not going to use the term jeeper in a probably verb and adjective. I'm going in a new venture, it's like trailblazing.
I thought so, and that's how I had to introduce you. There's no other way.
It's still on your LinkedIn, I'm assuming, and likely your license plate.
It is in my LinkedIn, and actually, it's funny because it came up during a student professional development event I was running the other week. It was about LinkedIn and storytelling. And I was going through my profile live on a Zoom with students, and I was scrolling through, and I was like, "Oh yeah, look at my skills!" And I saw the Jeepers Creepers thing, so I had to explain the context of what that was about. So that was fun.
That's so funny. Oh my God. Well, I'm glad we're getting you out of Jeepers Creepers and now we can get some of your expertise on this film. So let's go around the table, shall we? What's everybody's experience with this film? When was the first time you saw it? Yeah, what's going on? Ryan, how about you? When did you see this film?
I had danced around this and the other half of Grindhouse for a while, and I actually, to be honest, had just watched it this week.
What?
I had seen the trailer. I know the premise, but I had not seen it until this week. And it was not exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it was definitely self-aggrandizing. I don't know, it was just a lot.
I'm so shocked you didn't see this movie when it came out or sometime in between. That's pretty surprising to me. Wow. All right, so first time. Eric, what about you? When did you see this?
This is probably my third time seeing this. I watched it on DVD. I have it on DVD. And the first time I saw this was when it came out on DVD. I didn't see this in theaters, unfortunately, but I love this movie. I like it so much more than Planet Terror. No shitting on Robert Rodriguez. I thought Planet Terror is great, but I love this film. It's so good.
Dude, this is like, it's not the Mandela effect, but I saw this in theaters actually with Matt Banover in Plainville. But I could have sworn my life this movie came out in 2006 before I turned 16 and I had to sneak in. Or maybe, oh no, it was before I turned 17, so I had to sneak in. I could have swore that happened, but it came out in April of 2007, so I would have been 17. So I did see it in theaters. I loved it when I saw it, and I still like it, but it's definitely of the Quentin Tarantino movies. It's probably towards the bottom, if not at the bottom of the list.
For sure, but this is a passion project for Tarantino. Like you
Yeah.
you get a feeling like he loved making this movie.
I mean, he loves every single one of his movies, you feel is like, but this one specifically was like, I love 70s exploitation films, and I'm going to try to replicate one as much as possible within my own film, but then for the experience of Grindhouse, like that whole kind of 70s feel to it as well. But Ryan, so I'm getting the feeling you didn't like it though. So feel free, dude, shit all over.
Oh, no, no, no.
Eric will fight you. He'll fight you.
I won't fight you, but we'll talk.
No, but you'll take a pipe to my car.
Maybe.
I really liked the movie. The only question that I walked away with was just why? I want to know what Tarantino's goal was to like what was he trying to do? Was it trying to be one big joke? Was it trying to be serious at some parts and like an exposition on how to make an over the top gore kind of 70s flick? Was it just like a student project where like there was a prompt where he had to hit all these points and then he's just like, yeah, fuck it, that's it. To me, it was just the story was so out there
Mm.
that I had fun the whole time. I just don't know what the purpose of the movie was. And if the point was that there was no point and it was just like a fun 100 minutes, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Totally. I think Tarantino has a soft spot for stuntmen and the car chases back in the day with the old cars. And I mean, we saw it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He casted Brad Pitt as the stuntman to Leo. And I don't know. I think there was always a thing for him. He always liked that. And he's a horn dog too. He loves like lap dance scenes and like sexy scenes and stuff like that. And like his dialogue and the dialogue in this film feels like it goes on and on and on and on in some scenes, but really it's good dialogue.
But then you have lines like pulling a fucking ship's mast on a vanishing point. It's like all right, cool. Like I get the motivation of some of the lines. Like some of them are cheesy, but some of them are like, yeah, no, I get it. I rock. Like I'm there for it.
Totally, totally, and the whole movie, like the whole Grindhouse, like and like it starts off with, and now your feature presentation, like the old-timey drive-in movies. Like this movie was supposed to be seen at a drive-in in your car. That is like how you have to picture it and like pretend that you're doing that, and then you'll enjoy it more, I think.
Oh, well, one of the things that I guess you guys maybe it's on the DVD, Eric, and I don't know how you watched it, Ryan, but there were fake trailers in between Planet Terror and Death Proof. So there's that, and then there was Thanksgiving, the Eli Roth movie they just made, that was a trailer.
Yep.
Hobo with a Shotgun, I think, was in it.
Classic. Love it. Yeah.
Machete.
Which actually became another movie.
Yeah, that was actually a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, those are all fake trailers from this movie. And then there's another one. It was like werewolf zombie Nazis from Planet X, something like that.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, there's like there's a Fu Manchu one with Nicolas Cage. There's all these fake trailers, like Edgar Wright directed one, Eli Roth directed one, and that like added this fun little like in between segment, between the two films.
And also the film breaks. You feel like the film skipping. Not like a DVD skip, but like the film like
Like there was an error in patching the two reels together. You'd see like the burn patches. Yeah.
exactly, which I love.
You're gonna love this, Eric. So that those were all physically done too. Those were not digital.
Totally.
Oh yeah, you could feel it. It's jarring.
But that was the
Yeah.
point of it. He was trying to make it like he wanted to make an old-timey feel like you're at the drive-in, you know?
I like that. Like I think the more I watch it, the more I kind of pick it apart a little bit. But the way that it ends, and we'll get to that, I think it's just like completely, you're like, fuck it, this movie's awesome. Just by the ending. But yeah, there's a lot of talking, and it kind of does kind of get up its own ass.
It drags. It's still good dialogue, but it drags. There's no doubt.
I know, yeah.
Now, when it drags, I want to ask you, do you think it's almost like Quentin trying to like beat you in a staring contest? Like some of it, like like in Hateful Eight, there's those long drawn out running shots, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's drawn out a little bit. Okay, yeah, let's move along. Okay, come on, and they just pull and they pull and they pull and they last for so long, and by the time you get to the next scene, you're like so relieved. I wonder if it was like the opposite for this, where it's just like drawn out for a while, but then once it does, the action actually kicks in, you are off.
Well, I have a surprise for you. Believe it or not, Ryan and Alec, Quentin Tarantino is joining us. Quentin, what are your thoughts? Kidding, he's not on. But imagine if he was. He would be like, "Fuck you, Ryan."
No, he's admitted that this is like he considers this his worst film, and he was trying to make something that he thought audiences would understand, and he doesn't think that they do because this is such a heavy homage to those 70 exploitation films that if you're not a huge film buff and like watch all of those movies, you're not really gonna like appreciate this for what it is because that's what those were. They were just drawn out, low budget, grainy looking films. And I think that's just what he was trying to replicate in modern times. And I don't think modern audiences were like that into it. After his movies that had come out, they were expecting something different.
And this would when you went to see Grindhouse, it would be Planet Terror then this or this then Planet Terror. How did that work?
It was Planet Terror first, then a bunch of the fake trailers, then Death Proof.
Got it.
Yeah, so it was a long night. And I remember, yeah, Matt and I went. I was like, I loved it. We both like left the theater like, this is so sick. We were also like 16, 17 years old.
It's just a cool theater experience too, and I didn't experience that, so I can only imagine that. But
Yeah, it was really cool. And especially like this was right after like Sin City and Kill Bill and all those, and, obviously like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
some artsy fartsy kind of movies, and like this was trying to do that too in some way, no doubt.
I was so into those movies back then that I was like, I cannot wait to see this. So I'm biased towards it. I understand the criticism. Primarily, I think it's just with the drawn out dialogue that seems to go nowhere, kind of like you said, Ryan. But Kurt Russell, I think he's a good villain.
This is peak Kurt Russell too. Like the thing is one peak Kurt Russell. This is peak Kurt Russell. I think he was great.
I agree with that. I think he's really good in this movie for doing exactly what the character would be in these positions. I just thought it was so interesting that as soon as he got shot, he just became such a blubbering fool. He flipped on such a dime. And it was
Yeah.
so interesting because I was like, he's a stunt man. He's so tough. He crashed. He's been in the hospital. He's good, but then he gets like shot, and all of a sudden he just loses his marbles.
I want to say this. I had a note about that. Him getting shot in the shoulder looked like upper. I imagine that's what it's actually like to be shot, just like wailing in pain. Like in most movies you watch, you see the tough guy like Vin Diesel just going on without noticing. No, he noticed, and he's a stuntman who's got a scar on his face. He's definitely been banged up, but like getting shot must suck. And I think that is the funniest part of it is like Tarantino's like, no, like you're in pain. Like you're like in terrible pain and you're scared now.
The DVD subtitles for that moment says "wails like a banshee."
I love it. I think that's how Ryan, if you or me were shot, we'd be crying. We'd be like, oh my God, I'm shot. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. No, I could see that. I'm not saying that he turns into like a weakling. He seemed like it seems like he lost his sense of his like normal decision making abilities because in the past when he's been injured, he still like accomplished what he's set to do. When he was shot, he like lost all of his skills. What I'm saying, he didn't. Not that he just like he lost his resolve.
He went from being death proof to like, I was just shot.
Right.
I think the thing, if you think about it too, like the first half of the movie, it shows, this group of girls that are completely incompetent. He's able to do exactly what he wants to do, no problem. Then the second group of women are stunt women who are driving, they know how to drive cars, they know how to do crazy stuff. So he's getting a challenge this time
Exactly.
that I don't think he was ready for. Even though I don't think he has a gun, but he just has that bottle of whiskey and the cigarettes in the car. So he wasn't prepared for this. And I think that's why he's just like, fuck.
He got a taste of his own medicine, and it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
it's kind of like a feminist thing. Like he was thinking, oh, women are like easy targets and this and that, and I could just bring them in my car and kill them, and or just. But no, he was dealing with stunt women, and he got a taste of his own medicine hard, and that's what's cool. It's a cool concept in general.
Yeah, he flew too close to the sun,
Exactly.
and he pays for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like the movie, it's broken into two parts in case you haven't seen it or whatever. But it's the first half and then the second half. So it's almost kind of like a Stanley Kubrick movie, like a Full Metal Jacket or Clockwork Orange, where it's just like it is like two movies in one that are connected.
Yeah, there's like an intermission where you can get your popcorn and stuff.
I mean, kind of. That's like, I guess, the hospital scene. But it's almost like the same movie over and over again, but just with like women that are unprepared versus women that are more prepared. But yeah, he's a serial killer. He's a stunt man from the 50s and 60s who was in film and TV, and now his career is washed up, and he's now living in Texas, hunting women with his car. He's got a stunt car still. And we're following around this group of women in the beginning. There's Jungle Julia and her two friends, Butterfly, and I can't remember the other one. And yeah, they're just driving around Austin, baby. And Eric, did you see the Alamo Drafthouse?
No, no, I didn't. I didn't catch that.
Oh, they show the original Alamo Drafthouse. Now it's
Oh,
like a
okay.
national chain. They're in Brooklyn. There's one in LA. But Eric and I saw Halloween 2018 at the Brooklyn one. Best popcorn at any movie theater, hands down. I'm telling you.
Hands down. Yep.
Anyway, so they got so they show the Alamo Draft House. They're showing all these cool spots in Texas. But yeah, so we got just like a bunch of talking, for quite a while.
Yeah, and they're talking in the car and they're getting breakfast and they're like, "Oh, look at your billboards up, your billboards." And it's like, "Okay." And then it's kind of slow. It's a slow movie.
Have either of you ever seen the movie Slacker by Richard Linklater, the guy that did Dazed and Confused?
I don't believe so.
I've seen Slackers with Jason.
No.
Okay.
It's from 1991 and it just takes place in Austin. And it was the movie that the director of Dazed and Confused did before Dazed and Confused. And all it is just conversations throughout Austin. So I feel like, and he's good friends with Quentin Tarantino. So I wonder if that was a little bit of inspiration because it kind of feels like that in this opening shot where they're just driving in the daylight talking about weed and stuff. I was like, this feels like Slacker, but
And they have quite the mouths on them. They're F-bombing like crazy. It's insane.
I don't mind swearing. I love swearing, but I will say that that woman at the end, she was
He just
saying
goes for it.
motherfucker. Yeah, it was
Right.
too much. It was honestly for
God
me.
damn.
It was like a caricature
Yeah.
for like it's funny like she would say those catchphrases without being aware of it, but then she became self-aware like double down.
Yeah, it was insane. But wait, Eric, what did these women say that was unacceptable in your eyes, Eric? You mansplained
Nothing,
to them.
nothing, nothing.
You know, no, you mansplained to them, Eric.
I'm not mansplaining. I'm just I no, it just like it was, Sally potty mouth. That's all I'm saying. It was a lot of potty mouth. That's all.
And they're talking about buying weed and fucking.
That the weed's fine, but like the F-bombs were just off the chain, off the hook. I don't know.
I didn't remember these women being that bad, but
They were all heavily intoxicated. When they're leaving that joint, none of them are able to drive. I don't know how they get out of there.
One dozen. No, I'm kidding.
well, they go to the first place, the Cuervos or Guervos or whatever. They go there, and that's when they tell that butterfly girl, because Jungle Julie is a radio DJ, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, I told everybody on my show this morning you're gonna go give a lap dance if somebody comes and tells you this poem." And she's like, "Oh, fuck," or whatever. So then we see kind of Kurt Russell in the background stalking a little bit. Eric, who did that remind you of? What other killer?
Like little Michael Myers action
Yeah, that's
almost.
what I was thinking too,
But well, the car
Yeah,
especially.
yeah,
With
yeah,
the
yeah.
car, like she sees the car and she's like, "That's a creepy car to her."
Yeah, exactly. He's got the
So
creepy car. He's spying on him.
She sees him casually more than once.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I gotta say too, I never thought of this as a horror movie until you put it on the wheel, Alec, and now, yeah, it's a horror movie if you think like we've all been in the back seat of cars or whatever where someone's driving erratically or just like not safe, and it's a vulnerable feeling, and that's what this movie does. It amplifies that horror of like, no, you're in a situation now where it's just very unsafe.
Yeah, you are in the back seat of the car the whole movie without a seatbelt, and there is nowhere you can go.
Yep.
Yeah, but I like that it takes a while for the movie to turn into a horror movie. Like it doesn't start off like that. It's very much just like chatting, honestly, and just being like, oh, and we're just out having fun, texting men, getting drunk, having fun. So they get to the second bar, and you're right, Ryan. There's no way they're getting out of there driving. So I don't know how they did it, but it's Texas, so who knows? So they get to the second bar. Quentin Tarantino, of course, is the bartender, and he's just, being like a Texas stereotype and has a bunch of drinks for everybody. Yeah, I mean, basically, they're just kind of fucking around for a while. Eli Roth makes a cameo. They're going to the lake house. That's kind of the big thing. They're all going to go to the lake house for the weekend, and no boys are allowed. But they get drunk and they decide that guys are going to come or whatever. Yeah, so then Stuntman Mike comes into the bar and he sits down, but he's not an imposing threat. He's just like a, charismatic, charming guy, right? Like you guys didn't think like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking go crazy right now, right?
No, but I mean the movie title is like something's up with him, I feel like. But I felt like he was endearing too and very charismatic and very cool and collected and
He doesn't drink, and he's got
no,
good
yeah.
stories to back everything up.
Yeah, the only negative was the way he ate nachos, but it was so off-putting. The eating the food in the bar, and then Tarantino was the bartender. Yeah, that was just oof. Not a great stretch.
It shows he's up to no good, right, with the nachos.
Yeah, you're just like, what the? Why would anybody? Yeah, he has to be in nefarious deeds because, like, why would you eat nachos that way?
Okay, so that was the first giveaway for you, Ryan. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think like what did he say? There was something in the bar he said that was a little weird, but yeah. He does follow that butterfly woman though, and she's like fucked up at the end of the night, and he goes up to her and he says the poem, and she's just like, you know what? I'll give this guy, a lap dance or whatever. So we see that, but then it cuts.
Which I love. I love that it does that like skip thing.
Yeah, we got the point. It didn't need to be like 5 minutes
No,
long,
no.
So now finally it's like, okay, this is gonna be a horror movie now. So, oh yeah, there's this woman at the bar, Rose McGowan. She's got a blonde wig on because she is in Planet Terror also. And they're like, we gotta make a big distinction that she's not the same character. So she's got a blonde wig on, she's at the bar, she needs a ride home. She gets a ride home, Stuntman Mike, who everybody kind of vouches for, but at the end of the day, they don't really know if Stuntman Mike is really a stuntman. They think he is. He says he is, but nobody really knows. So they get into his car. It's a Chevy Nova. It's a black Chevy Nova. I don't know what year. It's got a duck on the front for some reason. And they get into it, and he says, yeah, this car is safe. It's death proof. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of like I like that that's why it's the title. I don't know. I like that.
You got the Leo pointing meme.
What is that? What is that?
I was like, oh, they said the name.
Oh,
They
oh,
said the name
oh,
of the
there it
movie.
is.
Oh, there it is. There it
Fabulous
is. There it
figures.
is.
Oh, from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you got that, but then we get the big twist out. Like, what's the big twist?
Well, it's only death proof if you're sitting in my seat. And yeah, so he crashes. Basically, what the scary moment is he sees the other girls leave, and he's like, he has pictures of them. So he's like, all right, I gotta go after these girls. So he's got Rose McGowan in the car and he starts to leave and he's like, which way are you going? Because he sees that the other car goes left. And she's like, I'm going right. And right there, I think there was like a music moment where it's like, ding. And he's like, well, that's too bad. You could have said you're going left and you would have been fine, but now you said you're going right and I'm going left, so now you got to get scared immediately. And she's like, "What?" And then yeah, just
Peels
slams
out.
her
Yeah.
head. Yeah. I mean, at that moment, Ryan, come on, you thought it was cool. Come on, Ryan.
Ryan.
Oh, I'm telling you, I liked the movie. I'm not trying to shit on the movie. There are great parts of it. I really did enjoy it, and that was really scary when that started up. And you're like, oh, she's about to get really fucked up, isn't she? And you just don't want to see it like so particularly, but you do, you know?
I know, because the thing is, he's so charismatic up until that point. You're wondering, is like, is he messing with her, or is he actually going to do this? And then obviously he does. But yeah, it's a really big switch from the rest of the movie to that point. And yeah, he smashes her head, and then just kind of keeps like rattling her against the rest of it. But like, she should have been like, hey, where's the seatbelt? You know, because there wasn't a seatbelt for her. And he does say that that seat is for a camera. But I don't know. I would not have gotten that car. I don't know this guy. This car looks freaky as hell. Like I'm not getting in this car. But yeah, she does, and she dies, and it's bad. You know, her face just gets completely smashed open. And then we get a really cool shot in this movie. And I didn't look up too much into this, but I am like 99% sure that there was no CGI in this movie because Quentin Tarantino is like big on using film, big on using stunt people, big on practical effects.
It felt like practical effects, Alec. Yeah.
But this shot's crazy, dude.
Well, it literally cuts from her dying and getting her head smashed in the front side of the car
Yeah.
to the other woman sticking her feet out the window. And I love that shot because it's just like we went from a completely murderous scene to someone just being nonchalant, just keeping her feet out the window, which is like I'm uncomfortable already. I love that shot.
The song is great too because it's just got this like amazing build up. I think it's called Hold Tight, yeah, and it's such a good song for this shot specifically too. Yeah, it's got this girl relaxing, the music's building, and one of my favorite shots in the movie is the stuntman Mike drives ahead of them, does this awesome flip around turn, and you see like the moon like on the other side of the hill, and there's kind of smoke from when I guess the tires turned, or maybe it's just fog or whatever and his lights are off and he just comes over that hill, but you see the smoke in the background. I'm like, this is such a sick shot. Like, I love that so much. And yeah, then he just, and you know, Ryan, why don't you say what happens? Why don't you explain what happens right now?
Is this when he's turning around to head on collision the other car?
Yeah.
All right. So, full disclosure, I start watching this movie and I've been sick basically all winter. And I'm like toughing it out. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch this movie. And I'm getting to this point of the film and I'm starting to get drowsy. And there's a point where I think I'm falling asleep. And I think to myself, am I still watching the movie or am I dreaming? Because the actual crash to me was like a fever dream.
Yeah, I love it.
And I rewatched it last night from like a little bit before that onward just to get the full experience. And no, it wasn't a fever dream. It was beat for beat a do you remember the old show on ESPN like Sports Science with John Brinkley?
Oh, hell yeah.
It's like we're gonna see how it's like to throw the pressure from a defensive lineman stacking you
He
into
has to go 7.8 meters to get this
right.
type of from his quad takes this much strength. Yeah, it's insane.
It was like that kind of breakdown of the murder of these four women. And I thought I was dreaming, but no, they did it shot for shot. And you get an individual breakdown of the same car crash four times for four victims. And it is like a mixture of Mr. Potato Head, a face ripping off by tire, a body jettison from the car. It is chaos.
Anyone catch the Wilhelm's helm scream?
Oh yeah. Yeah. When the
Ugh.
car flipped. Yeah.
But no, but like when she has her feet out the window and he hits that, and she has like the nicest legs in the world, and it just slices off like a cow beef shank in the road. It was like, damn, Quentin, you are sick.
Well, he just keeps upping it because yeah, the first, I think it's like the leg, then the face, and then the other. Oh no, the first one is the girl getting flung out of the car. Like her body just flies
Just
out.
flipping around. Yeah.
And then his car just completely flips over that and then smashes or whatever. And it's crazy. All four of them instantly die.
This is an insane like 6 seconds.
The woman who gave him a lap dance not 5 minutes earlier has a tire rip from the bottom of her chin up through her scalp, just peel her back like an orange. That's a tire.
And that's the Wilhelm scream. I was dying laughing when I heard that. I was like, that's like the worst use of the Wilhelm scream ever.
But such a great, just like car head on head because he has the lights off and then he turns it on right before he hits them as the music's just like exploding. It's so, yeah, it's insane.
He pulls the what looks like the car lighter for your cigarette, like a cigarette lighter. He pulls that, but it turns the lights back on. Like that's what it just the mechanism looks like that.
Yeah.
Turns the lights on and it cuts back to that 4 times because it like when you see that click, that means it's the reset and it shows how the other person died. And it's just cut, 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 cut. And Eric, like you're talking about before, imagine seeing that in a drive-in. That would be so intense. Just sitting in your car, just
Yeah.
pop, pop, pop,
You're
pop.
in your car and you're driving home like grandma, like hand on the steering wheel.
You guys both know Matt. Imagine 16-year-old Matt seeing that in a theater with him.
He probably losing his
It's
mind.
like, oh,
Speaking of being in the back of a car that wasn't safe, Jesus, he's one of them.
oh yeah. We used to do some dumb stuff in cars back in the day. Oh my
I
God.
got in a pretty good accident with him once.
I believe it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you guys flipped that Jeep, right?
Yep.
God damn. Yeah. And yeah, so this was a intense car crash. And then we wake up in the hospital. And what was the last time you guys saw Kill Bill?
Been a bit, but it's on my short watch list.
15 years for me at least. Yeah.
Okay, so these cop characters are in Kill Bill also. They're the ones that like find her body or whatever. So I like that he kind of carried that
Oh.
over. Yeah. And I think he says son number one or son number two in Kill Bill. I gotta watch it again. That's been a couple years. So I like that he's doing that. It's a little fun. And then the blonde woman who's in the hospital, in case you don't know, Ryan, that woman is one of the lead characters in Planet Terror. So they're trying to do a little crossover
Oh.
character. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you didn't see Planet Terror, you're probably like, why is this woman like freaking out at this cop right now? Yeah, so he comes up with a theory that's pretty interesting, and I want to know if you guys agree or if you have your own theories. But the cop is theory about why this stuntman Mike does this is he needs to take four souls simultaneously so he can come. That's what he says in this movie. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I think he's just a psychopath.
Do you have enough data to really make that conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, we don't see that at all in the movie, but he just jumps to that.
It has to be 4 souls. That's the only way. It can't be just a couple.
That's wild.
How many packs of 4 women are hanging out like this on the regular?
I know. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of his thing, though, if you think about it, because he does try to do it again 14 months later immediately. But I don't know if it's sexual. I don't know. I don't know.
The cop's like, he'll never do it again in Texas, and it's like the town is like, Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
No,
yep.
I love it. It says Lebanon, and you're like, oh my God, this guy went to fucking Lebanon, and this is like Tennessee, and you're like, oh, okay, okay.
Ah, down the road, got it.
Yeah, it's like he goes. If he went to Lebanon, I'd be like, this movie's taking a fucking turn. But no, yeah. So he goes to Tennessee. But yeah, that's a stretch. But let me ask you guys, like, why do you think he's doing this?
I don't know. I don't think there's an answer.
That was part of what one of my earlier points about like the why. I never really understood the motivation. And the cops, there was a lot of exposition at times, which was fine because it gave you some context. And while like yeah, there was some dialogue that dragged here and there, but like some of the talking was really good. And I wrote down in my notes Texas Ranger family exposition. That really gave me some context. And sure, I buy their theory. There was nothing else to say that it wasn't that. That's plausible. Why not? I'll go with it.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like a serial killer, and this is his thing. I don't know if there's any way else you can look into it. He's a stunt man. He's good at being a stunt man, and this is his way to serial kill. There's no other explanation, I don't think.
I guess he's comfortable with the car because that's his tool of killing. He doesn't even have a gun, it doesn't look like, or any weapons on him at all. But he does target women specifically. But he never lays a hand on anybody. He only uses his car. So it's interesting. Yeah, so then we jump 14 months later into Tennessee. So he leaves Texas, goes to Tennessee, and find another group of women, and they're having the same conversation, or not same conversations, but another round of conversations. But these women are stunt performers, and one of them's an actress, and they're filming some movie in Tennessee. They're on one of their days off. They're getting stuff at a convenience store, and Stuntman Mike is keeping an eye on them, and he's tickling toes, and the only weird little connection that we get here is, isn't that a Beatles song that they sing that girl's like belting out?
When? I don't recall.
The girl singing in the front seat with the iPod.
Isn't that like Baby It's You? So she's singing that, and then earlier Jungle Julia is like freaking out. She's singing it to the jukebox. So it's the same song. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's a good connection, but probably just a coincidence at that point.
Yeah, I mean it goes nowhere, but I was like, interesting. Okay, Quentin, what are we doing here? But yeah. So she goes into the store. I guess one of the girls is a model. She's got a section in Vogue.
And she's obsessed with they got Italian Vogue. Oh my God.
Is that a big deal? Is that like, I mean,
I don't know. Like this is the part of the movie that gets like drawn out.
well, Eric, what would you say if they're like, dude, they have Italian Maxim.
I'd be like, we're getting that. Yeah.
They have this month's Italian
It's
Maxim.
it's 28.99. Alec, can I borrow $5? That's what I'd say.
Oh, dude, Sophia Arrivederci's in this one. Like,
Too good. Too good.
and then, a couple little things that I do like Quentin Tarantino kind of carries over into all of his movies was the cigarettes. They were that red apple cigarettes, which is, he has that in like all of his movies. So,
Yeah, and there was a big Kahuna Burger reference too.
was there? Oh, was it on the
Yeah.
radio or
Yeah,
was it?
it was at the start, the first group of women. Yeah.
And then there's another thing when it was almost like Grand Theft Auto stuff. Like when they pulled into the convenience store, there was a billboard that it was like Pot Smokers 2. It was like a movie or something like that. It was fake, obviously, but I was like, this feels like GTA, like Vice City or something. I don't know. It's just all these fake brands.
Well, it goes with the fake trailers and stuff too.
Yeah, no, I liked it. And it just felt like weird, like an alternate reality or something.
Is it like fake product placement then?
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, to some extent. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there real stuff in this movie? I can't remember.
It's just the big tribute to the time and the old movies and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's got more of that like wrestler feel to it, Eric, like a guy that like misses the past and he's just like taking it out on modern times.
There's that. I get that with Kurt Russell's character too.
Yeah,
He's retired stuntman. He can't do stunts unless it's with his car. So that's why he's using his car.
yeah. So we get a lot of industry talk though. They were talking about like their per diem money and they're
Yeah.
the guy that looks like The Rock or whatever, but I forgot. I was like, wait, are they actually talking about The Rock? But it's
Yeah.
just like a sound guy. No, it's a sound guy that looks like The Rock named Bruce.
But it's meta because they're taught like The Rock exists in this universe, and it's like
Right.
people as that are movie set staff.
Dude, and you know what's
That-
even more meta? There is a guy credited. I looked this up on IMDb. There's a guy named credited as Bruce the Rock something. And I was like, oh my God. So they actually chose a real guy too.
The guy was actually the key grip or something, and he's in
Yeah.
the. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
So yeah, little industry talk. But this is unfortunately my like least favorite scene in the movie is when they get to I guess it's like a diner and they're just sitting there and they're just talking about cars and New Zealand and just like it's well shot because it's one continuous take, but my God, I feel like it went on forever.
I subscribe to the local paper. It's like she's just a Kiwi the whole time, and it just they're going out. The premise is so funny. She's like finding out how would they get that paper to New Zealand? That doesn't make any sense.
I know, I know. I mean, I want to see that like flashback scene where it's just like her in New Zealand looking it up, just be like, "Holy fuck, they have that," or whatever. But no, yeah, it's insane. Actually, speaking of flashbacks, this is the only Quentin Tarantino movie that is in straight continuity with no flashbacks at all. He's never done another one since this or before this. Every other one is either out of order or has flashback scenes. So this is the only one that's just straight through.
Wow.
Hey, but yeah, so the only thing that really is important in this whole conversation is that there's a 1970 white Dodge Challenger that is in pristine condition and some guy has it on a farm and she wants to go drive it for the day or whatever. So we find that out. That's what makes them go to to see this guy's car or whatever. And I think this is the funniest line in the movie to me is right when they pull up the guy who's in like a lot of the Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah, what's his name? Jonathan something. I forgot his name.
Well, did you hear what he said when they pulled up? They're like, "What do you horny girls want?" That was
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
His name is Jonathan Loughran.
Loughran. That's it. Yeah, but he has the laugh too, like 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 the same from the Water Boy and stuff. Yeah.
oh my God, yeah, he's a very gross character.
And so, really quick, just the last, because I don't really have much on him, but the one thing that again alluded to the why part of this was they never really resolved any of the storylines because you just kind of turned this movie into a fun popcorn thrill at the end. That's fine, but like, what happened to their friend who's now just like
Right.
under the control of that guy? They're eventually going to go back and bring the car back and resolve it.
That's what's funny about it. Like she had to sit with him for probably like 2 hours at least, and like
Yeah.
deal with whatever bullshit until they ended the movie.
Yeah, it's probably dark before they get back, and she's like sitting outside with him.
What the fuck? Like you left me with this guy.
And his car's destroyed.
That would have been a great end credit scene, but like
That's really, I just wanted to see that, I guess.
I really would have too, but like you can only picture it in your head, you know? Like it wouldn't have been a pretty scene in any way.
Would have been funny though. Like the car's so destroyed. He's like, "What the hell happened to my car?"
And she's like, You left me with
Yeah,
yeah.
it would have been funny, but yeah, we don't see that. But they go and they make a deal where it's like, we'll leave my friend with the actress, the young girl who's in the Vogue magazine. She'll stay here and we'll go take the car for a ride, which I do not feel like this guy would ever do, but he does. He agrees to it.
But they think that it's gonna be like a 5 minute joyride and they'll be back together in 5 minutes or
Dude,
so.
you would never give a car.
0% chance.
Yeah, you would never give an antique like that to three people you don't know. Like, there's no way.
No, but the movie sets it up. The movie sets it up like collateral, like they're gonna pick up her friend.
Yeah, whatever.
That's the point of it. It's like you wouldn't leave your friend behind like that. And was she in like a cheerleader outfit too? Like, come on.
Yeah, she was a model in a cheerleader outfit. It was so gratuitous, and she's sleeping. She's sleeping when they make this deal.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
She wakes up and they're like, "Yeah, see you later." Yeah, no, there's 0% chance that would happen, but that's the hokey premise of it.
Exactly. And it was supposed to be a 5 minute joyride, if that, and
Yeah,
they pick up their friend and be like, ha ha ha, it was funny. And
yeah, and then they're gone for hours. Yeah,
Yeah. Brian, you had an antique.
yeah. The car I had an '85 Volkswagen. It was my first car.
Yeah, I remember because, dude, I remember you had that antique license plate, and I was like, dude, how did you get that? And you're like, it's got to be 25 years old or not. And I was like, oh, dude,
Yeah,
I thought that was a sick car, though. I like that car.
yeah. Soft top convertible. In the winter, the front windshield would freeze on the outside and the inside. That was fun.
Oh, that's fun. That is fun. But I remember, what was it from 83? Was it 83 you said?
85.
85. Teen Wolf, dude. Good year.
Teen Wolf, good year. Anyway, like, so they get in this car, they're taking it for a joyride, and they got Rosario Dawson in the back, and they told her to shut the hell up, like, no comments. We're gonna do this thing that we want to do with this car, which is a stunt. And the Kiwi, the New Zealander, gets out and hops on the front of the hood, and they start riding it like crazy.
It's called Ship's Mast, Eric.
Whatever Chip's mess.
We're gonna do ship's mast on a vanishing point Challenger.
Speaking of Teen Wolf, they would surf the van too. So Teen Wolf also probably has something to do with this movie. I don't know. I'm just saying
Oh,
that. But
okay.
she does that, and Caruso's like jackpot and decides to mess with them and shows up and starts ramming them. And it gets like, what are you doing, this crazy bastard? And yeah,
I mean, literally the coolest car chase scene I think I've ever seen in my life.
love it. Is that what LA's like, Alec? Because like I'm looking at all the in and out of cars and like they're swerving through cars.
This was Tennessee. Or you mean like just in general? Or
Yeah, like does it feel like you're driving in LA and you see some other cars ramming each other in LA?
you genuinely do see street racing out here, like on the highway, like 100%. And you will almost, like, I'm not even kidding. If you drive for long enough, you will almost always see like a BMW with the temporary plate, just like weaving in and out of every single car with no signals. Like, that's a
Yeah.
very, very common thing you see out here.
I wanted to ask that.
Tons of cars are fucked up and they're just on the streets. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But no, it's I mean, it's not too far off, honestly. But yeah, this scene though, like honestly, this makes the entire movie worth it. This is like the last 45 minutes of Attack of the Clones.
You got like 15 minutes of a car chase that's just dope with like them ramming each other, going off of hills, going off road. And then there's one scene where the first scene where they go off road and Kurt Russell spins out. He hops out of the car and he says the line, I think it's something like, "Was that fun or what?" And she takes out a gun and immediately shoots him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like it's perfect, dude.
No, it is great. And then yeah, so the predator becomes the prey and he starts driving away and they do at one of their long conversations they talk about Zoe falling down a pit and being totally fine. She's like a little tiger that always lands or whatever.
Yeah, they turn like 90 degrees going like 50 plus miles an hour, and she's still on
Yeah.
that roof of that hood. And then when she's tossed, she is tossed.
Right.
They're
I
going
know.
so fast and they hit a divot. She's gone. Gone.
It's funny that we're watching this movie with you, Ryan, because you guys remember tubing? This is kind of like tubing for real.
It felt like that. Yeah, tubing, like we should have been injured more. I know like there's some dislocated shoulders we had and other things.
Some internal bleeding. Yeah, no, it is kind of like tubing in the fact I thought it was funny. It's like, do you think anything your little kick is going to do with the momentum of the two objects that are involved otherwise? Like she's on the hood trying to kick Kurt Russell's car as if that's going to do anything in the situation.
Yeah.
Like how futile is that attempt in tubing or in like tube wars? Sometimes it's like you put a flailing arm or leg out there just like hoping to strike something and you just swing and miss and you fall off.
But that's a stunt person doing all this too.
Okay. That's a good point.
So that's another thing to keep in consideration that Tarantino was like this is a total tribute to stunt people.
And I know it takes away the tension of doing this, but like there were plenty of opportunities they could have slowed down and just be like, get in, get in, get in.
That's exact. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
But I thought about it though. They're not that far away where if he sped up and they didn't have a second to really, speed up and start going when she got in, they would have all died. Like he was never completely out of sight. And maybe it would have actually fucking killed them now that I think about it.
And it was during the daytime too, this time.
Yeah, yeah.
He couldn't do his light trick or anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I prefer that it was in the daytime for this. It was so much cooler to see it all, but I just love this scene, man. Like, this is one of my favorite scenes in like movies. It's just this last car chase.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then, like you said, the stunt person gets thrown off and she's in the field, and Rosario Dawson's in the back, and the other woman's driving, and she's just like, geez, please be okay, please be okay. She pops up, like, I'm good. She gets in the car, and they're like, what do you want to do? It's like, let's get this motherfucker. And they decide to get him after he's shot. They know he's hurt. And oh my God, the movie just like, it ends with them like, what is it? Like, they drive up they go on a pass and she's like praying that it's not a dead end because she's like if it's a dead end he's gonna get away.
Yeah. It's like a sheep trail next to the road.
Yeah, and they somehow luck out and it's not a dead end. They hit his tail, he spins out, flips over, and he gets completely destroyed. His shoulder's broken, everything. He's dying.
He's like, wait, my right arm's broken. And they're like, this arm? Like,
They just pull him out of the car like he's just a rag doll.
yeah.
And that fist fight ending is so over the top.
It's
It's
insane.
ridiculous. And it's so funny.
Yeah. Wait, did you guys, Eric, I want to hear your impression of Kurt Russell when he pours the whiskey on his bullet wound.
Like, son of a bitch! He's just wailing, I think, right?
He's like, no.
I could do it, but I think it's gonna top out the mics. It's not worth it. It's just like it's gonna hurt so bad.
Yeah, I tried to keep it low. Like my daughter's sleeping upstairs, man. Got to keep it down a bit.
I'm sorry. I forgot.
What does he say? What is it? What does he say though?
No, he just keeps saying like, no, come. He does say, why? Why? It's like, dude, of course, why? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, he's gone from a pedestal being a badass serial killer to just a bitch.
Yeah, he fucked around and then he found out. He's never found out before.
He's got his medicine. He's dealing with stunt people that are young and he's in deep shit right now.
Yeah.
The way I wrote down for that scene, I said it was Kurt Russell, whiskey car ER. That's all he had. He didn't have a first aid kit. He didn't have a gun. He didn't have any supplies. All it was the bottle of whiskey. It's like, all right, well, I hope this works. Gets drunk, slaps it on there. And when he takes the swig and then spits it out on his arm, it's just like, oh.
Yeah, that scream was so guttural. But yeah, then they beat the shit out of him. But yeah, if you guys do ever have Eric, if you have the DVD, watch with the subtitles on next time. It's so funny. It's like Stunt Mike Banshee Whale.
Banshee Whale. I like that.
And then yeah, it ends. It literally is just like the end.
The end, but it's not really the end. Then it cuts back for a second. Yeah.
Yeah,
And she just literally high heel curb stomps his ass to death. And it's like,
yeah.
damn. Because it's like, oh, could he come back after that curb stomp to his head? It was like, no, no, he's dead, dead, super duper dead.
I mean, he does say even in the earlier movies, like you could drive this straight into a brick wall at 120 miles an hour and be fine. And I was like, no, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't.
0% chance. You would never be fine.
I
Even with
know.
all the straps in the world, you would break both collarbones.
Yeah, it's just how it works. But like, there's a scene where he's sitting still and they just ram him from behind at full speed, and he gets messed up.
Well, the one thing he put a seatbelt on after that though. Like after he got like shot, he actually put both seatbelts on again. I was like, I don't know how was he able to do that, but yeah, he then they fuck him up though, Eric. Yeah, they like ram him from behind and he flips.
It's such a cool like it's just like, hey, you don't need to watch a Death Proof, just watch the last 15 minutes, you know?
But I feel like if you watch the last 15 minutes, you'd want to know what happened. You would be like, how do we get here?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I don't know. I really like it, but I do feel like if they cut out like 20 minutes of this movie of just like a lot of the dialogue.
Yeah, let me run through the stats real quick. This came out April 6, 2007. Its runtime is an hour 53 minutes. If we cut out 20 minutes of dialogue, that would make it an hour and 33 minutes.
Ooh, a crisp hour and a half and 3 minutes. Ooh.
Yeah, that might have been
Ooh.
Yeah.
better. For a double
Yeah.
Ooh.
feature, for a double feature too, it's like, yeah, an hour 33 would have felt better. I agree. I agree. Its budget was 30 million. Apparently the box was 31 million. I don't know how that works with a double feature, but it barely broke even.
No, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. Its Rotten Critic is 67% and the Rotten Audience is 71%. I mean, it's liked, but I like this movie a lot more than 71%, you know?
Like Alec was saying before, it's a lower on the Tarantino scale, which is still a scale that I put above a lot of other things. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the movie. I like to think I have a pretty low threshold for what I find entertaining. I like to find value in what I like. I just give everything the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, yeah, and was it worth my time? Yes. If it was not worth my time, then I might be a little bit salty. But I had a great time watching this movie. I'm not saying it's going to win any awards, but and when I joked before, like when I was saying like what the why of this movie, I was just kind of being tongue in cheek about it. I think it was entertaining for what it was, and it had some really cool flourishes. Like some of the scene, like some of the details, some of the scenes, some of the shots, the card cuts, the actual physical film media, the just obvious homage to Quentin's foot fetish. It's everywhere. The
Yeah.
foot massage stories, like the references they are thick. They are thick.
The ass shots. Yeah, he's a horn dog for sure.
But I was very entertained by this movie. I would watch it again. I think it was very funny, and I'd watch it again for certain details. I would want to see like how certain characters interact again. And though the dialogue drags on a little bit, again, when it's coupled with the intense action, or it all builds to something funny or some sort of hard scene that's really worth it, it's fine. Alex said, "Yeah, you cut 20 minutes out of this, 15 minutes out of it. It's a lot more leaner. Yeah, it's that much greater." But I think I still enjoyed it. I still had a good time with it.
I actually thought about it a little bit. Like Quentin Tarantino's career was kind of make or break at this point. It was like Reservoir Dogs was really big, then Pulp Fiction was like insanely big. Then Jackie Brown was kind of a little bit of a setback. Kill Bill comes back and people are like, "All right, this guy's still got it." Then this movie comes out and it was obviously not that well received. It didn't make a lot of money and people are like, "Uh-oh." Then Inglorious Bastards came out and since then he's just been on like a massive continuous hit or whatever. But at this point, if he didn't have Inglourious Bastards, if he had another kind of like so-so movie, that really could have been kind of the end or sort of the decline of Quentin Tarantino
I don't think Once Upon a Time happens without Inglorious
or Django.
or Django. Django, yeah, Django doesn't happen.
But
I
this
don't
is
think.
kind of like I feel like the slump of his career, and then Inglorious was this like dynamite that relit it. With then Django coming out, and then Hateful Eight, and then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I think he always did a good job casting, and people in Hollywood knew him as someone who I want to be in a Tarantino film, and I think that always helped him.
Dude, being critical of this movie is still, yeah, like Ryan, you're saying, it's like in a different league. Like Quentin Tarantino movies are so good that it's like, even if you're criticizing the worst of it, it's still like the best of most other things. Like I don't know. I still like this movie a lot.
Like the film qualities of it, the movie, even if you don't like the content, like there's structural things about the movie. There are techniques in the movie that are just like high quality. That's you can enjoy it for that at least.
I have one final thought too. Tarantino needs to make a Spotify playlist, just in general. And I bet that that would be the most streamed, coolest, best playlist on the planet because his music taste, dude, is it's hands down the best. In any movie, you know, when he's writing these films, he's picturing the scenes and the music he's choosing in his head is how he's writing these scenes. And I'm just so curious if he ever had a track for a scene in any of his films that he couldn't get, like some red tape or rights, or it was too over budget. I'm curious about that because it's like he writes these movies with the music in mind. You know that for a fact. Like the lap dance scene, you know, he's like down to Mexico. I'm not writing this without that song.
Yeah, no, music's a huge part of his movies, but he does have a podcast. You guys know about his podcast?
I've heard of it. I have not. I've listened to him on tons of other shows like Bill Maher and stuff, but I haven't seen his podcast.
How about you, Ryan? Have you heard of this?
I know that he's on one, but no, I have not heard it. I have not listened to it actively either.
It's one of the few podcasts that I've ever heard of that is pay only. Like you can't get it for free at all. So like you have to pay for it. And it's him and the guy that he wrote Pulp Fiction with, that he worked at a video store with in LA. So it's just them basically just like going into deep dives of films. And I'm like, fuck, I do want to listen to this, but I'm not paying like $10 a month just to listen to Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah,
But you know, there are plenty of people that would.
I know, clearly.
you can find Tarantino out there and get his take on things, but yeah,
Yeah. But imagine full length deep dives.
yeah, I really do want to listen to that shit, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, anybody got any last minute thoughts on Death Proof?
No, I mean that lap dance was at least $200, $300 with inflation. God, that was amazing.
Yeah, that's an expensive birthday prank or a prank that's supposed to be for your birthday. One of the shots I wanted to commend Quentin for that we didn't mention before was when it was all black and white and and Kurt's playing around with her feet and then as soon as she puts the cowboy boots on, it color shifts, comes back into color. I really liked
Yeah.
that. It was like a Wizard of Oz kind of
Yep.
pop too.
Yep.
That was the high contrast. I really liked it. It was very self-referential. I think it was self-aware. It was hokey. It was hokey, but in an intentionally hokey way. It was very fourth wall breaking at
He
times.
literally, yeah, he looks at the camera and he's just like, oh boy. It's like, oh my God. Yeah. It's a go on though. People should check it out. And a lot of people probably don't consider it horror, but it 100% is a slasher film. Just a different kind with a car instead of a knife. Well, Eric, you want to spin the old wheel?
We shall. I got it up and running. Hold on one second. Spinning. Leprechaun 3. But hold on. Hold on. Is there like a back to anything like Back to the Hood with this? Is it just Leprechaun 3?
Just Leprechaun 3. Straight up Leprechaun 3.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so we got Mike Valenti joining us. Hopefully, we'll see if he can. He's got a new baby, so we'll see. We'll see what his priorities are: the new baby or Leprechaun 3.
We'll find out. We'll find out, people.
Yeah, but Ryan, thank you very much for joining, man. I'm happy to have expanded beyond Jeepers Creepers with you.
Thank you for letting me dip my toe into the waters that are beyond the Jeepers Creepers pool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, this was a good pod, man. I can't wait to listen to this once Alec edits it.
Yeah, and we'll get you on for another one real soon, Ryan. But thank you, everybody, for listening into our discussion on Death Proof, and we'll see you next week with Leprechaun 3.
Woo!